Hello, I'm Lareen Newman from Tapping into Serenity. I'm going to take you through a short tapping sequence about fear of losing your job to take the edge off that emotional intensity for you. Tapping is a physical tool that calms your emotions, and it's based in scientific research. So because of the coronavirus situation and we're going to be tapping around the face, I'd ask that you have sanitized or washed your hands before you start, please. You could pause this tape if you need to just quickly do that. So I'm just going to use the sentence, I'm really fearful of losing my job. And I'd like you to tune into how you're feeling. It might be that you're really anxious about losing your job or really worried. So choose a sentence that's right for you. And then when you've got that sentence, just take that emotion. So I'll use the word fear. It could be anxiety, worry, whatever. And I want you to just tune in to how intense that's feeling to you right now on a scale of 1 to 10, where obviously 10 would be really, really intense and 1 would be hardly there at all. And so just remember that number. We'll come back to that in a while. And you might also be feeling all of this tension in your body. It's quite common, but maybe you're not. You know, you might have a really tense neck, perhaps a headache, tight shoulders, maybe a churning stomach or something else. It's also good to just recognize where you're feeling that in your body. And so as we start to tap, I just ask you to take full responsibility for your own emotional well-being. If strong emotions start to come up, please just continue the tapping and just stop talking. The tapping will calm you down. So if you haven't tapped before, we're going to start tapping. Take 2 fingers of one hand and tap to start with on the soft part of the opposite hand. Either hand is fine. And we're just going to focus ourselves in on the issue. So I'm going to say, and you're going to repeat, even though I'm feeling all this fear about losing my job. So you repeat there, or you can be saying your sentence. I choose to accept myself anyway. Even though I'm feeling all this fear about losing my job, I choose to accept myself anyway. And a third time, even though I'm feeling all this fear, there's so much fear, I choose to accept this is how I'm feeling right now. So now we're going to do tapping around the different points. So just follow me. The first point's on the top of our head, and we're just going to have a reminder phrase. So yours might be this worry, this anxiety, or this fear. You can put your words in. So top of the head here, all this fear. And the next point's here on the inside of the eyebrow, all this fear. And the next point's at the other end of the eyebrow on the eye crease, all this fear. And now here, sort of under the eye on the cheekbone, all this fear. And the next point's under the nose, all this fear. And the next point's here on the chin, all this fear. And on the collarbone, so just here where there are some knobbly bits, just under there's a softer part. You can use both hands if you want, whatever's comfortable for you. And we say all this fear. One more point here under the armpit, about 4 inches or 20 centimeters down, sort of where a side seam would be on a piece of clothing. And we say all this fear. And back to the side of the hand, all this fear. Now we'll just keep tapping while I just explain that we're saying the negative. Some people get worried about that because we're expressing how we feel, and then we're tapping the acupoints to diffuse that tension. And so that's how it works. The tapping is sending a signal to your brain to dial down the stress response. And that finding is backed up by scientific research if you wanted to know that side of things. You may also start to feel energy moving, blocked energy. So that might be in the form of yawning or tingling or feeling warm. Or maybe you're not feeling anything, and that's also fine. But just so that you know, if you do feel those things, that is a good sign. And if you're not feeling them, that's also fine. So we're just going to refocus again, and you repeat after me. Even though I'm feeling all this fear about losing my job, I choose to accept this is how it is right now. And now we're going to do this, just a reminder, top of our head again, all this fear. And on the eyebrow, all this fearful feeling, or all this anxious feeling, all this worrying feeling. On the side of the eye, so much fear. You can change hands if your arms are getting achy, all this fear. And under the nose, all this fear. All this fear. Collarbone, all this fear. And under the arms, if you do it both sides, it looks like you're giving yourself a hug, and maybe you deserve that right now. And back to here, all this fear. So I'd like you to just take a few breaths and say your sentence to yourself, all this fear of losing my job, or whatever your sentence is. Just see roughly what emotional intensity number you would have on that emotion. Is it still the same number as you had before? Maybe it's gone down if the emotion is being diffused. Maybe it's still the same, which is great. We'll do some more tapping. And maybe it's gone up, and if it's gone up, it means something else has occurred to you, maybe a different aspect of this fear and another issue to do with losing your job. And so normally in a private session, we would stop and go off and tap on that as well. But while we're on the video, we'll just continue with this particular focus. So we're going to just do a few more rounds. So just repeat again after me. Even though I still have some of this fear about losing my job, and I choose to acknowledge how hard this is, I accept myself anyway. All this remaining fear, 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 all this remaining fear. And I'm just going to close with a few positive rounds. So normally we would only go to the positive once we've got the negative down to around a 2 or below. If your number is still quite high, then I'd recommend that you rewind the tape and do some more tapping again until that number comes down lower. But otherwise we're going to now just do a little bit more tapping, even though I still feel some of this fear or worry or anxiety. And I acknowledge how hard this is. I'm choosing to accept myself anyway. Even though I'm still feeling some of this fear, I'm going to give my body and mind permission to relax a little. Even though I'm still feeling some of this fear, I'm choosing to be open to a different way of seeing this. This remaining fear. Maybe things could turn out slightly better than I'm expecting. I'm open to being surprised at how much easier this could maybe turn out. So even though I still have this remaining fear, I'm choosing to accept it. I'm choosing to accept this fear for what it is. I'm choosing to relax anyway. I'm choosing to accept myself anyway. Okay, so just take a few breaths. If you have any water or tea there, I'd have a sip. I'd just like you to just tune back in. Say your original sentence. So I had all this fear of losing my job. I'm really fearful of losing my job. So say your sentence to yourself out louder in your head. And just see what sort of intensity rating you might put on that emotion right now. Has it gone up or down or stayed the same? As I say, if it's gone up or it's stayed the same, please rewind the video and tap again. Just keep persisting, and the tapping will do the work for you and calm your system down. And you might tune into that original body sensation. Is it feeling any different? Has it moved? Is it lighter? Is it a different quality now? Or maybe it's gone completely. So I hope you've enjoyed doing this bit of tapping with me. If you'd like to find out more, please go to my website, tappingintoserenity.com, or you could check out more information about the science of tapping on the EFTinternational.org website. They're also on Twitter, as am I, at Lareen Newman. And if you'd like more information about working with me, I do 30-minute group sessions, and I do private sessions and corporate workshops, all available online to anywhere in the world. Or if you happen to be in Adelaide, I'll see you face to face. Go well.